If you are a fan of Netflix's Dead to Me, you might want to check out the new dark comedy series No Good Deed. It's from the same creator, and it stars Lisa Kudrow, Ray Romano, and Linda Cardellini. Will this brighten your day, or is it going to ruin it? Three very different families vie to buy the same 1920s Los Angeles Spanish-style villa that they think will solve all their problems. So we've got Kudrow and Romano as a married couple who are looking to sell their home. And while several families maneuver to have the winning offer, the couple, they struggle to keep some of the dark secrets hidden. Now, just like with Dead to Me, this borders on being a very angry show and a mildly angry show. There's a lot of biting dialogue where most of the people we come in contact with nip at each other, sometimes very harshly, and other times reconciling quickly. And there are 8 episodes, and while they're each about 35-ish minutes, a lot is going on in each so that the story, it really feels longer than it actually is. Now, as I said, we're shown a few families who are all interested in purchasing the home. And the story spends an inordinate amount of time with each of them. Some of their interactions work within the small mystery that flows through the storyline, but the majority of the time, these tangents, they're filler and time wasters, giving us a lot of time with characters who aren't ultimately that important. There's one storyline that is dark, sad, and angry. And while it contributes a ton to the larger arc, it also contained elements that just feel like further distractions. Linda Cardellini is a neighbor who is one of the parties interested in purchasing the home. Now, she's a bit sketchy and slimy, and she pulls it off, though, really well. I mean, it's fun to watch her be conniving with attempts at sultry or seductive, just missing the mark and then reading situations completely wrong. The dynamic between Kudrow and Romano, it's also a tense and bitter relationship. They've been married for quite a while and have endured a lot of ups and downs, where it appears the downs are now fully taking their toll. And their interactions, they're sometimes humorous, eliciting some chuckles, but I found their bickering to be more off-putting than entertaining. There is more to their story, though, than just the duo, with Denis Leary adding some humor within the mix. And it's been a long time since I've watched him in anything, and he's pretty much exactly what you'd expect him to be. He's abrasive and cutting, but he also has this surprising sweetness and softness. And I love the mix that we get with him, making the scenes with Kudrow and Romano way more enjoyable when Leary was also present. And even though the angry mood encompasses a lot of the show, and there is a large focus on the bidding families, I still found myself becoming intrigued by an underlying mystery, which then kept me mildly engaged. I wasn't riveted to the screen, especially when the story would shift onto one of the bidders and their drama, but on the whole, the show held my attention. This easily could have been trimmed down to 6 episodes with a lot less focus on the stereotypical LA-type couples, especially since their storylines aren't highly engaging or intriguing. One couple is dealing with a third-wheeling in-law, one is dealing with a midlife crisis of sorts, and another is wrestling with the idea of starting a family and the stresses that come with IVF. Now, by themselves, each of these contains characters and ideas that could be explored and deepened so they're worthy of story attention. But because the arcs are only touched upon sporadically, their presence comes across as offshoots that distract and then lengthen the series as a whole. Now, I don't know if this is a limited series or if the show is meant to continue, but if it is limited, we get a resolution and a conclusion to the main arc that was being told. I mean, it's satisfying and it makes sense. And if the series is picked up for another season, there is at least one arc that can continue on, although I'm not sure how captivating it's going to be in the long term. The storyline involving the writer husband, pregnant wife, and intrusive mother-in-law, it has the beginnings of a plot that could turn twisty. But from the setup we're provided with here, they, along with all of the other prospective buyers, they're not making me salivate to dive deeper into their plights or continue with them. And because of the central storyline and the tragedy that we watch Kudrow and Romano work through, there are heartbreaking and heartwarming moments, some that even come from unexpected interactions. And despite all of the biting remarks and the cutting comments, there is a touching story of grief and love that's addressed as the show goes along. I mean, there's still a lot of fat within the plot, bloating the runtimes and lengthening the storytelling unnecessarily. But thanks to some dark comedy, intriguing mystery, and solid resolution, the show does provide entertaining watching. And I don't think this is something that I would revisit, but there is a sweetness that weaves its way through all of the nastiness that somehow makes this at least a little palatable. There's no sex or nudity, a ton of profanity, and some violence. I give No Good Deed 3 out of 5 couches. So have you seen any decent dark comedies lately? One I enjoyed was Murder Mindfully on Netflix, but I'd love to hear about what you liked in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.